Molly from Toronto. What situation or circumstances were there when a storyline or a match result had to change or they had to pivot because someone got into trouble and it became someone else's gain? For example, when Triple H got heat over the curtain call incident. He was supposed to win King of the Ring that year. Austin ended up winning it and became the first step to his launch. Or when Jeff Hardy was rumored to win Money in the Bank, I think CM Punk won it that year and went on to become World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, I mean, those are two examples. When RVD, this might be maybe the most famous one, when RVD got busted with Sabu for drug possession and had to drop the WWE and the ECW title. Now, the Triple H one, in terms of like, I guess the impact or the influence it had, that one might be the biggest example. But in this case, like Edge ended up winning the WWE Championship back, which he may have done anyway. I mean, maybe RVD would have dropped it, to him at SummerSlam or something, because it was a couple months later that they had the TLC match at Unforgiven, which was in Toronto, I believe, between John Cena and Edge. So that may have been the destination no matter what. But it certainly fucked over RVD's career for a while there, and Edge was the beneficiary. I think back to 2013, Jack Swagger. It was like a month or two before WrestleMania. He was the World Heavyweight Champion, I believe. Was he the World Heavyweight Champion or... No, he was... No. He was challenging for it, I think. I think that's what it was. He was the World Heavyweight Champion a few years prior to that, but... He was heading into a title match, I believe it was, with Alberto Del Rio, WrestleMania 29. But he had gotten popped for DUI. So he didn't win no World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania that year. And if you remember, it was the very next night on Raw, Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank to win the championship. Very possible that does not happen if Swagger does not get arrested. And so maybe Ziggler cashes in some other time, and maybe it doesn't hit the same way that it did that night in New Jersey. Kevin Owens. In all the years that Kevin Owens has been on the main roster, still to this day, the only time he has ever held one of the top titles was in 2016, 10 years ago, when he won the Universal title. And the only reason that happened is because Finn Balor got hurt at SummerSlam. The night that he won the belt, he got injured. So Owens ended up with the belt, and he got to run with it for a few months. Now, it wasn't a great run. And then Goldberg beat him in like 20 seconds. But to this day, it is still the only time that he held, one of the world championships. And I know that's not really the same thing that you were asking. It wasn't because somebody got punished for doing something wrong, but it just made me think of how crazy it is that Owens had just never held another world title again after that. The only other one that comes to mind right now, and again, it's less that someone got into trouble, but Honky Tonk Man refusing to drop the Intercontinental title to Randy Savage on that live main event special in February of '88. He felt, in his own words, in shoot interviews over the years, he said he felt the timing wasn't right. And he also didn't want to do a job on NBC in front of millions of people, drop the belt, and then let's say they let him go, right? Because he's not the champion anymore. So you've outlived your usefulness to us. We're going to let you go. He claims that he felt it would have devalued him if he tried to sign with Crockett, with the NWA. So he just refused. And instead, Savage ended up winning the WWF championship in that big elimination tournament at WrestleMania 4 the very next month. Now, Ted DiBiase has always been sour about this because he was always of the belief, he claims he was told. He doesn't know for sure, but he was always told that the title was coming to him. He was going to win that tournament at WrestleMania 4. And so he had heat with Honky for a long time because he felt like he got screwed out of the world championship by what Honky did. I don't know what to believe at this point. I find it hard to imagine a month out from WrestleMania that they did not have a sense of where they wanted to go with the Mega Power stuff. And that they just sort of booked that on the fly, right? But it's possible. I mean, look, DiBiase gets the belt. Hogan goes off for a few months to go shoot No Holds Barred. They let DiBiase run with it, let's say, as the heel champion through the summer, right? He could work Duggan on the house shows, maybe Savage. And then Hogan comes back and he beats DiBiase to get the belt back. He beats the, as Hogan used to call him, the multi-million-dollar man. And he gets the belt back. It's plausible. I know Bruce Pritchard has denied that there was ever any plan to make DiBiase the champion, and I can see that side of it too. I mean, think about it. Think about the company up until that point. It was a babyface territory. Almost every champion up until that point was a babyface. The rare times that they put the belt on a heel, like superstar Billy Graham, he had the belt for almost a year. It wasn't even a year. Not even a year. And that was the longest that any heel had had the championship. Even though they were doing good business with him on top as the champion, Vince Sr. told him before he won the title, here's the date that you're losing it and who you're going to lose it to. You're going to lose it to Bob Backlund. And that's what happened. 10 months later, whatever it was, 11 months later, it's exactly how it went down. He stuck to his guns. Bruno had the belt for 8 years. Backlund had the belt for almost 6. Iron Sheik didn't even have it for a month. They transitioned it over to Hogan. He held it for another 4 years. Then Andre beat him for it. Immediately it got vacated. And then they put it on Savage for a year. Then it went back to Hogan. Then over to the Warrior. Slaughter wins it. Holds it for a couple of months. Just to put it right back on Hogan. It's just the way they operated back then. You had to have the belt on the good guy that the people could root for. But I think DiBiase running with it for like 6 months or a year, I think they could have done very good business. We got King from Pennsylvania, lifelong fan since the late 80s. Wrestling has always taught us that the world title is the ultimate truth, the crown that defines who matters most. Even the biggest stars were ultimately measured by whether they held it. The first time that idea felt challenged to me was The Undertaker during the Streak era, where legacy began to outweigh championships. Recently, Triple H said Roman Reigns is bigger than the world title. Philosophically, what does that mean in a worked sport built on symbolism? When an active wrestler is positioned above the prize, does the title lose meaning, or does the title exist to validate the star rather than the other way around? And across eras, from the 80s to now, AEW included, who truly transcended the belt? In the end, should anyone ever be bigger than the title? Or does that break wrestling's core illusion? Well, I don't think there's anyone in AEW right now that has transcended the belt. Sting, I guess. It's not like he needed it. But he also wasn't a full-time active member of the roster when he was still active. Kenny Omega, he may be the closest, but there's just no one to me who truly feels that way in AEW. But in WWE over the years, yeah, there are certain performers that have been the champion who have, attained a certain level of status to where they felt bigger than the title. They don't need the title anymore. Their legacy has been cemented. They are larger than life. Hulk Hogan is one of those people. Andre the Giant. He didn't need the title. Right? The Rock. Undertaker attained that status with the Streak. Brock Lesnar, he was another. Roman Reigns, I would agree, feels like he does not need the title, but it was that last title run that allowed that to happen. The reason he feels larger than the title right now is because he spent 1,300 days holding it. I think as a general rule, like you guys know how I feel about this. As a general rule, there are exceptions, but no one person should be bigger than the title. But that's more like current roster. Full-time current roster talents. Certain talents that have already been to the mountaintop, that have a degree of longevity in their career. They kind of reach that rarefied air where they just feel bigger than the title. And they don't need it. But not everyone. Like, look at someone like The Miz. The Miz has been around for 20 years. He's been champion before, multiple times. No one, I promise you, no one is looking at The Miz and thinking, man, this guy is bigger than the belt. It's only a very select few, I think, who I would say that about. Once that crown defines you, as you say, the same rules don't apply to those names as they would to people on the roster right now. The title should always be the most important thing on the show. But there are just certain individuals who transcend that and they don't need it. It's as if they themselves have become a title. Right? Not in the physical sense, but in that just by working with them or getting a win over them. It can do as much or more for your career than winning the actual championship. And that's a rare quality. It applies only to a very select few. And then there's other guys who just don't need the belt to get over. I wouldn't say they transcended it, but they don't necessarily need it, like a Jake the Snake Roberts. I just talked about the $1 Million Man, Roddy Piper, right? Some of the bigger names in history who were never world champion in that company, but they were big names pretty much everywhere they went, really. I wouldn't say they transcended the title, though, in the same way that those other names did.